No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we are. This is Mike Lodge, the business advisor. I'm glad that you're all here. I have to apologize to you, though. I am late in doing this podcast. Normally, I'm up and I'm in this office by 7 a.m. in the morning recording this podcast and getting it out to you. But I got busy today with clients. Early in the morning, I got busy with clients and I had to respond. I had to respond to their needs. And so now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I am recording this podcast. But I'm getting it done, which is not a bad thing. I'm accomplishing my goal of producing a podcast almost every day. Sometimes I miss it. I almost missed it today, but I got it done. I'm getting it done. Listen, I have been talking a lot over the last few months and weeks and days about the state of the economy. And the only way that we're really going to turn things around is if the American people see that the government is serious about cutting costs and having a debt ceiling that is reasonable. Not where it's at today because we're way too high. But we need to do those two things. Government has got to do these two things of cutting their costs. And I'm talking about costs like all of these pork stuff that members of Congress have put in these last two big spending bills, like the museum, funding for liberal arts type situations, funding for a park in some of these congressional districts. I mean, it goes on and on. There's a lot of, by the way, 87,000 IRS agents. You wipe that out and you've wiped out billions of dollars right there. But I think you know what I'm talking about. We need to see some movement from the president and Congress on reaching an agreement where we do cut costs and we have a reasonable debt ceiling. Then the American people say, okay, well, good. Maybe they're actually thinking about us for a change instead of the next election. That is a problem. So what are we going to do? Well, Biden, members of Congress, have got to sit down and start negotiating. And it already started. Speaker McCarthy and Biden sat down together. Now, in mediation, you know what we call this? We call this the opening statement. They were able to sit down and put out their what they will do and what they won't do. That was the opening statement. Now, after the opening statement, that's where the negotiations began. But you got to put something on the table. So Biden's got to come back and put something on the table. McCarthy's group has got to come back and put something on the table. And it's got to make sense to the American people. If it doesn't make sense, then don't do it at all. Or if McCarthy bans, folds, and says, okay, let's just raise the debt ceiling, that's not going to sit well with the American people because a lot of promises were made by the Republicans that they were going to cut costs, and that is what has got to happen. In fact, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't even care if the government shuts down. I really don't. Shut it down. But do your jobs, sit down at the table, and negotiate. So, Biden, you come to the table with your offer, and McCarthy, you come to the table with your offer, and you begin the negotiation process. And yeah, it's going to get dirty, and yeah, it's going to get messy, and things are going to be said. But do the right thing, because the American people want to see something that actually means something to them. They work hard for that tax money that they send the government. And it's important that the government does something that's responsible instead of agitating us all the time. Excuse me. So that's the problem. And we need to do something about it. Well, not us, but the government needs to do something about. And they need to act responsibly. I hopefully will see that. Just a second, I need to take a drink. Ever since I had COVID back in November, end of November, I have been fighting trying to get rid of this cough, and it just doesn't want to go away. It lingers on and on. So if you hear me coughing in my podcast, I'm sorry. The only thing I can blame it on is COVID. It just hits me all of a sudden when I'm talking and I need to cough. And it's disgusting. So I apologize for that. I don't do it on purpose. It's that COVID cough has just never gone away on me. The other issue that I've been talking about is job losses. And a lot of different companies have started to do their layoffs, and it's going to get worse. If you look at what happened today with Zuckerberg and Meta, or Facebook as we know it, but Meta, Zuckerberg came out and said, listen, I'm going to rearrange it. I'm going to get rid of a lot of my mid-managers. And if you look at the payroll, if you look at the income statement, the highest amount of money that's spent is on labor. Every single time it's on labor. That's a cost. When labor goes up, the costs go up, and those costs get passed on to us. But the issue that we have now is that corporations have got to start cost cutting, just like the government should, but they're starting to do their cost cutting. So Zuckerberg says, okay, we're going to start getting rid of mid-management, which is a good thing because it raised his stock prices, because people see that, okay, he's addressing an issue. He's addressing an issue. That's what Americans want to see about the government. They're addressing the issue. They're addressing it. Now we need to see them do it. But Zuckerberg did that today. Now, one of the other things that I thought was very interesting is that Jeff Bezos came out today, and he is the Amazon founder. He came out today sounding an alarm. And so in an interview with CNN, Bezos says that the economy, end quote, does not look good right now, end quote. Things are slowing down. You're seeing layoffs, many sectors of the economy. And that means you might want to tighten up your budget. Now, how long have I been talking to you about? I have been talking to you about having a budget, tightening up your budget, living within your means, no more credit card debt. So Bezos says, and that means you might want to tighten up your budget. If you're an individual in considering purchasing a big screen TV, you might want to wait, hold on to your money, and see what transpires. The billionaire recommends the same is true with a new automobile, refrigerator, or whatever else. Just move some risk from the equation. That's not good news for investors out there. But not all investments are created equal, right? It's not all created equal. So we're getting these warnings. We're getting these signs out there. Senior executives and billionaires are now starting to say very carefully, hold on to your money. Don't make those big purchases right yet. And we saw what happened with Tesla. Tesla dropped the prices on their cars. And did it help them? Well, no, not really. It didn't help them. Now we're looking at the aftermath of what's going on with Tesla. Because we have to be honest about this. I can't afford a Tesla. Probably you can't afford a Tesla. We're not going to go into debt on a car knowing that there could be layoffs. We're not going to go out there and buy these big ticket items and have a huge payment on it, knowing that we could get laid off. So we have to minimize our risk. And Bezos is right. We need to minimize our risk. We need to look at not spending and begin to live within the budget. Live within your means, as my mom used to say. Live within your means, buddy. Well, the same thing goes for all of us in this day and age. Listen, the president's going to go out there and say, "Oh, the economy's in a better situation." It's not. When we have, you see, he thinks the economy's in a good situation based upon the numbers he gets from the government, which are all wrong. He's not out there experiencing what Americans are feeling, what they're going through. He's not in there. The government pays for all of his food. The government pays for all of his transportation, pays for his medical and health care benefits, pays for everything for that president. So he doesn't know. He's not experiencing it at that level. He was surprised the other day of how much people were paying for eggs. I'm not surprised. I don't even buy eggs anymore. I just don't. I'm having to change my diet because things are more expensive now. And I think a lot of you guys out there are doing the same thing. So the message from Bezos is, hey, cool it down, watch your spending, don't overinvest, don't overspend, don't overbuy things, don't do all this stuff that you used to be doing when times were good. Now we're in a situation where times are not so good. People are being laid off. There were more announcements today in San Francisco on tech companies who are laying off. Besides Amazon and besides Yahoo and Meta, there were some others out there too. So it's starting to happen. And we have to be very cautious of being good stewards of our money. I've talked to you so many times about being a good steward of our money. But when we have Jeff Bezos and when we're watching the other CEOs and what they're doing with their companies and trying to cut that cost, guess what? We're going to be part of that cost-cutting event. And if we don't see this same movement in government, listen, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of employees under the government terms. Many of them should not even be working. They're not doing anything. We've got redundancy in many departments. Where one department is doing something the same thing as what the other department is. We've got redundancy, and this has got to be curtailed. It's got to be slimmed down. So that's where we are at the moment. Bezos is telling us to, hey, cool it down on spending. Zuckerberg is trimming his fat in executive management. You've got other companies laying off this week. So the warning signs are there that we are deeply into a recession at the moment, and that we have to curb our budgets to live within our budgets and live within our means. Listen, if you want to have a 60-minute conversation with me, you can book it online. Schedule it online by going to www.lodge.co.com. And by the way, you can also send me a business question if you want to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. I want everybody to go out there and have a great day. It's raining here, but I gotta go walk the dog. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.